Dragon Ball. I'm sure everyone's heard of it at least once in their lifetime. This manga by Akira Toriyama first debuted in Japan back in 1984 and has been going strong ever since, claiming various video game adaptations. Despite their large number, few have managed to capture a cult following that can even come close to the original show. That is until the release of Dragon Ball Fighterz. My name is Fisher Coker, and let's have a look at arguably the best Dragon Ball fighting game to ever exist. Dragon Ball Fighterz was released on January 26 of 2018, developed by Bandai Namco and Arc System Works. It runs on the Unreal Engine 4. Dragon Ball Fighterz has a base roster of 24 fighters, with an additional 8 on its first DLC pack and 6 in its second. Most of the roster is unlocked from the very start, with only 3 unlockable characters: Super Saiyan Blue Goku, Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, and the brand new character, Android 21. For every match, you must pick a team of 3 characters. My preferred team is Android 17, Perfect Cell, and the Fused Zamasu. Each fighter is unique in their own right, but also has some of the same basic moves: the light attack, medium attack, heavy attack, and special attack. You can also perform super moves or ultimate moves. We'll get into those a little bit later. I'll be going over the controls used on the Nintendo Switch version, but the game has an in-game tutorial to teach you the controls on any of the consoles you play. In order to perform a light attack, press the Y button. If you land 3 consecutive hits, you can use a special move, usually a reference to a scene from the anime. In order to perform a medium attack, press the X button. Similar to the light attack, landing 3 consecutive hits will allow you to use a special, only this time you will use a level 1 super attack, which will also have a reference to the show. For the heavy attacks, press the A button. Unlike the light or medium attacks, the heavy attacks don't have any special attacks you can land on any consecutive moves. They instead send your opponent flying, sometimes to a completely different stage if the move is a finisher. Lastly, you have the special attack. This is a simple press of the B button and you can shoot a ki blast at your opponents. Like the heavy attack, this one has no special moves if you land consecutive hits. All that'll do is just make your opponent mad. Back to the supers I mentioned before. Both versions of them require ki to use them. But how do you get ki? Well, there's a number of ways. The simplest way is to hold down the Y and B buttons at the same time to charge it, but that's not a safe strategy. It leaves you vulnerable to attack from the other player. You can also gain ki from landing hits or blocking hits. The block, you just move backwards. It's very simple. You can charge up to 7 bars of ki. In order to perform a level 1 super attack, you need to do this button input. Move the analog stick down, then move it to the direction you're facing, all while pressing the R or ZR buttons. Some characters have different level 1 attacks depending on if you press R or ZR, but most of them don't. This will use up 1 bar of your ki. Another way to use level 1 is, as I said earlier, land 3 consecutive medium attacks, which is a little bit easier to pull off if you're a beginner player. The ultimate attacks are much more powerful and cinematic. To do these, you do the same thing as you did for the super attack. The only difference is that you move it the direction that you're not facing, the opposite direction, rather than the way you're facing. These attacks will take up 3 bars, and if you miss, it will leave you vulnerable, but if you do hit it, it will turn the tide of the battle. These themselves are also references to events from the show. Another fancy trick you can do are assists. Since you have a team of 3, during a match you can get help from either of your teammates by pressing the L or ZR buttons. When you do this, they'll join the fight for a brief amount of time and attack before zipping away. If you hold down the L or ZR buttons, you can tag out and let them take over for a bit, and let your other characters kind of heal for a little bit. It's very useful. Fighterz has something special that not a lot of other fighting games have: special outros for certain character matchups. These are called dramatic finishes, a cinematic scene that plays in reference to a scene from the Dragon Ball anime when certain characters are paired up against each other and when one beats the other. The one we see here is Gohan vs. Cell, in which Gohan will, with the help of his father Goku, destroys Perfect Cell once and for all. Dragon Ball Fighterz is overall a very fun game, and I think it still has quite a bit of life left into it. There are rumors of a third DLC pack coming out, which will help breathe new life into the game for just a little bit longer. But hey, don't take my word for it, go out and try it yourself. The game is easy to pick up with its in-game tutorials and has great offline and online play. You should try out the story mode also. It gets a bit tedious at times, but overall is a fun and great way to practice. But for now, I bid you good night, gamers.